Look, we've all been completely obsessed with AI that can write a song or help code our next project. But while all that's been happening, a much quieter and maybe even more powerful AI revolution has been building. It's not about creativity, it's about prediction. And it's being fueled by the one thing we all thought was, well, kind of boring: data. You've seen them everywhere, right? ChatGPT, all the image generators, these are all powered by what we call large language models, or LLMs, and they are absolutely amazing. I mean, they've totally rewired how we think about what artificial intelligence can even do. But what we're digging into today is something else entirely. This isn't an AI that scrapes the internet to create something new. This is an AI that analyzes the hidden patterns of global commerce to anticipate what's going to happen next. This is the story of the AI you never see. So to really get this, we've got to pull back the curtain on the absolutely massive, incredibly complex world of financial transactions and the new kind of brain being built to make sense of it all. Okay, so this is the key difference you need to get. On one side, you've got your LLMs. Think ChatGPT. They are masters of messy, unstructured data, all the text and images on the internet. But on the other side, you have these new, large tabular models, LTMs for short. And their world isn't language, it's the clean, organized, structured grid of a data table.
So you're probably thinking, okay, but why did we even need a new kind of AI? What was so wrong with the old systems? Well, it turns out the tools that were supposed to catch criminals had a really big and super annoying blind spot.
And this quote just nails the problem perfectly. We've all had that heart-stopping moment, right? You're making a big purchase, something important, like an engagement ring, and bam, your card gets declined. The old system saw a big, rare purchase and just freaked out, screaming fraud. That's what we call a false positive, and it's a huge headache for both you and the bank.
See, the old way was, well, it was clunky. It was all about manual rules. Data scientists had to literally write out thousands of if this, then that commands. If a purchase is over $500 and it's in a different city, then flag it. Not only did this cause those annoying declines, but it was a nightmare to maintain. And the worst part? It was completely blind to the really subtle, hidden patterns that the smart criminals were using. So, to fix this mess, companies like Mastercard knew they had to think bigger than just a bunch of rules. They needed an AI that could see the entire forest, not just the individual trees. And that brings us to the hero of our story, the large tabular model. So what in the world is an LTM? Well, think of it like a massive AI brain, a deep learning neural network, just like the ones behind the chatbots. But instead of feeding it Wikipedia and the entire internet, you feed it gigantic, structured tables of data. You could say it's an AI that speaks fluent spreadsheet.
Now, what's so fascinating is how simple this looks on the surface. This is what we mean by tabular data. It's just rows and columns, super clean, super organized. Merchant, amount, location, time. It might look boring, but when you have billions and billions of these rows, you're not looking at individual purchases anymore. You're looking at a behavioral map of the entire global economy.
And this really gets to the heart of what they're built for. An LLM, its whole job is to predict the next word in a sentence. An LTM has a much more specific goal. It learns from billions of past transactions to predict the odds and characteristics of the next transaction. It's not generating language, it's calculating probability.
All right, so we get what it is, but how does this thing actually work at a global scale? Let's pop the hood and see how a company like Mastercard actually puts a model like this into action.
First things first, you need a mind-boggling amount of data. I mean, we're not talking millions, we're talking 125 billion transactions analyzed every single year. That's the raw fuel. It's how the AI learns the normal, everyday rhythm of commerce so it can spot anything that's even slightly out of key.
And the process itself is actually pretty brilliant. First, and this is super important, all personal data gets stripped out. The AI has no idea who you are, just what the transaction looks like. Then, it dives into those billions of data points, teaches itself the collective patterns of behavior, and uses all that knowledge to predict and flag anything that looks weird, all in real time.
So the payoff here is just huge. The model learns all by itself, which means you don't need engineers manually writing and updating thousands of rules anymore. One single giant foundation model can do the job of a whole patchwork of older, clunkier models. That is a massive leap in efficiency. And maybe most importantly, because it strips out personal info from the very beginning, it's a system built for privacy from the ground up.
And look, this isn't just some theory in a lab. Mastercard is already using this stuff in the wild with systems like Trace. It's live right now, hunting down money launderers who are trying to use those super fast payment networks to move dirty money around. It's a real-world, crime-fighting AI powered by this exact technology.
Okay, let's zoom out for a minute, because this story is way bigger than just one company or even just fraud detection. This whole thing points to a much deeper truth about where the real gold is buried in this new era of AI.
And here it is. This is the big strategic takeaway. The true, lasting advantage in the age of AI probably isn't going to be some cool chatbot you build on a public platform. The real advantage is the unique, proprietary, structured data that only your company has. Your sales history, your supply chain logs, that is the new competitive barrier. People are calling it the AI moat.
So, let's boil it down to 3 key things to remember. First, all that boring data sitting in your company's spreadsheets, turns out it's a gold mine. Second, the path to efficiency is moving away from tons of little AI models to one big, powerful foundation model. And third, the end game is to let the AI learn directly from the raw data, taking the human bottleneck out of the equation. And that's really what I want to leave you with. The biggest breakthroughs in AI aren't always going to be the ones getting all the headlines. So the question is this: what boring, structured, tabular data is just sitting there in your industry, in your company, waiting for the right model to